Shalom, brothers and sisters. As my brother stated, I would love for everyone to turn to Psalms 143, please. That is Psalms 143. It reads, "Hear my prayer, O Yahweh. Give ear unto my supplication. In thy faithfulness answer me, and in thy righteousness. And enter not into judgment with thy servant. For in thy sight shall no man living be justified. For the enemy hath persecuted my soul. He hath smitten my life down to the ground. He hath made me to dwell in darkness, as those that have been long dead. Therefore is my spirit overwhelmed within me. My heart within me is desolate. I remember the days of old. I meditate on all thy works. I muse on the work of thy hands. I stretch forth my hands unto thee. My soul thirsteth after thee, and as a thirsty land, Selah. Hear me speedily, O Yahweh, my spirit faileth. Hide not thy face from me, lest I be like unto them that go down into the pit. Cause me to hear thy loving kindness in the morning, for in thee do I trust. Cause me to know the way wherein I should walk, for I lift up my soul unto thee. Deliver me, O Yahweh, from my enemies. I flee unto thee to hide me. Teach me to do thy will, for thou art my Elohim. Thy spirit is good. Lead me into the land of uprightness. Quicken me, O Yahweh, for thy name's sake. For thy righteousness' sake, bring my soul out of trouble. And at thy mercy, cut off mine enemies. Pardon me. It says, and of thy mercy, cut off mine enemies, and destroy all them that afflict my soul. For I am thy servant. Hallelujah. I would love for everyone to turn to Psalms 127, please. Oh, excuse me, Psalms 27, please. That's Psalms 2:7.
I don't know what you're saying, Moody. I'm on policy.
It reads, Yahweh is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Yahweh is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemies and my foes, came upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and fell. Though an host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. One thing have I desired of Yahweh, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of Yahweh all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of Yahweh and to inquire in his temple. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion. In the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me. He shall set me up upon a rock. And now shall my head be lifted up above my enemies round about me. Therefore will I offer in his tabernacle sacrifices of joy. I will sing, yea, I will sing praises unto Yahweh. Hear, O Yahweh, when I cry with my voice, have mercy also upon me, and answer me. When thou saidst, seek ye my face, my heart said unto me, thy face, Yahweh, will I seek. Hide not thy face far from me. Put not thy servant away in anger. Thou hast been my help. Leave me not, neither forsake me, O Elohim of my salvation. When my Abba and my Ima forsake me, then Yahweh will take me up. Teach me thy way, O Yahweh, and lead me in a plain path because of my enemies. Deliver me not unto the will of my enemies, for false witnesses are risen up against me, and such as breathe out cruelty. I had fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of Yahweh in the land of the living. Wait on Yahweh, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say, on Yahweh. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And Shalom, Israel. First and foremost, I'd like to give thanks and praise to the Creator of the heaven and earth and everything therein is by saying Hallelujah to Yahweh Elohim. And I would like to greet the listening audience by saying Shalom. Again, today we have another great presentation, which is called Where's the Teaching Priest? And we are asking this question, and we're going to answer this question, but we are asking this question based on the rumors that we find among ourselves. We have a lot of rumors going around telling Israel that they are under a covenant, the covenant of the law that was given to the Israelites once they came out of the iron furnace, which was called Egypt. Well, today, Israel find themselves in another iron furnace. And according to the story, the rumor is going around saying that we are that same people, but in a different disposition. We are the same people in a different time. Well, if that's true, we also find in our Holy Scriptures that Yahweh required that which has passed. And that is telling us the things that has passed, Yahweh requires. And if that is true, and we that believe and know and understand Yahweh, that it is true, then we know that the same things will happen to us as they happened to our fathers when he brought them out of slavery or the iron furnace. So today we're just going to use this presentation as a review. We done spoke on this subject matter several times, and we're going to find ourselves continuing teaching on this particular subject matter. But today we're just going to have a glance of a presentation dealing with where's the teaching priest, and show not only do we not know where the teaching priest is, but we don't really know who and where is the children as a whole. And I will explain that even further once we get into this great presentation. I hope that each and every one of you have in Holy Scripture a piece of paper and a pen, that you may jot down these most relevant scriptures that we will give today, and that you can use these scriptures and go over them and study them even further to make sure that we are not in error nor presenting our opinion. And I would like to start the presentation by us all going into the book of wisdom, the book of Proverbs, to warn us once again. And hopefully Yahweh will allow the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart to be acceptable in His sight, that Israel may fear, that Israel may hear and fear Yahweh and depart from evil. So let us turn to the book of wisdom, and let's take heed to this great warning. For it tells us in Proverbs, the 8th chapter, we all turn there, please. And it tells us in Proverbs, the 8th chapter, and it reads in the 4th verse, "And to you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of man. O ye simple, understand wisdom, and ye fools, be ye of an understanding heart. Hear, for I will speak of excellent things, and the opening of my lips shall be right things. For my mouth shall speak truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness. There is nothing forward or perverse in them." And note, it says there is nothing forward or perverse in them. And when we take a look at this presentation, please take note of the rumors and the opinions of your brothers and sisters. And let's try to judge righteously to make sure we're not making any wrong assumptions to our brothers and sisters. Let's make sure that the things they have said has been found forward and perverse. The 9th verse reads, "They are all plain to him that understand, and right to them that find knowledge. Receive my instruction, and not silver, and knowledge rather than choice gold. For wisdom is better than rubies, and all the things that may be desired are not to be compared to it." It also tells us, "I, wisdom, dwells with prudence, and find out knowledge of witty inventions. The fear of Yahweh is to hate evil, pride, and arrogancy, and the evil way, and the forward mouth do I hate. Yahweh hate one that speak about him forwardly that speak about him, and they are in error. Don't forget what happened to Job's friends. It tells us in the 14th verse, counsel is mine, and sound wisdom. I am understanding, I have strength. So today we're going to come in the way of understanding, and we're going to leave this great presentation with strength. It tells us also, if we take a look at the 22nd chapter of Proverbs, Proverbs 22, and it tells us in Proverbs 22, if we pick up at the 17th verse, and it reads, bow down thy ear and hear the words of the wise, and apply thy heart into my knowledge. For it is a pleasant thing if thou keep them within thee. And note, what is it that would be pleasant if you kept them within thee? It is the words of the wise and the knowledge. The words of the wise and the knowledge of the wise is these pleasant things that you are to keep within thee. Not the words of your brother, not the words of your sister, but the words of the wise. And the words of the wise that our Creator is speaking about is found in your holy scriptures, not in the heart of your brother. It tells us again in the 18th verse, for it is a pleasant thing if thou keep them within thee. They shall wither be fitted in thy lips. So what's supposed to come out of your lips, if you have found wisdom, is the words that you find in your holy scripture. You don't supposed to add to it nor take away. For once you add to that which is perfect, it is no longer perfect, at least coming out of your lips. It tells us in the 19th verse that thy trust may be in Yahweh. I have made known to thee this day, even to thee. Have not I written to thee excellent things in counsel and knowledge? If you want to know the excellent things, if you need to have counsel and knowledge, you find these things written in your holy scripture, and our fathers was confirmed or commanded to confirm every word and do them. The 22nd verse reads, that I might make thee know the certainty of the words of truth, that thou mightest answer the words of truth, that thou mightest answer the words of truth to them that sin into thee. And today we're going to answer these words of truth. And I would just like to bring up a situation that just came by my way. A daughter of Zion had her daughter ask her a question dealing with these words of truth. And it's not uncommon that our children would ask their parents the questions that is found in the Holy Scriptures. And one of those questions we find throughout the Holy Scripture that our children would ask us is, what means ye by the way of this service? What are you doing? Why are you doing this, Father? And the parents were supposed to answer the children in truth. They were not to make up something. They were not to tell their children, well, don't worry about that. Just give Yahweh the benefit of the doubt. But instead, our parents was to answer us in truth, because the truth, and by mercy, iniquities is purged. So our parents was to tell us the truth. Well, today, many of the parents of the youth are not telling the children the truth. They are being forward, and they are being perverse in their answering to their own youth. But if we truly fear Yahweh, we will not lean upon our own understanding nor our own heart, but we will lean on every word that has proceeded out of the mouth of Yahweh. For again, these words represent excellent things in counsel and knowledge. And one more place I would love to go to in the book of wisdom is the 3rd chapter of Proverbs. For in the 3rd chapter of Proverbs, it tells us in the first 7 verses, well, the first 13 verses, and it reads, My son, forget not my law, but let thy heart keep my commandments for length of days. And note what the commandments give us, because you got to compare this. We are making a difference. We are making a distinction between that which is written and that which comes out of our brothers and sisters' lips. So when we read these words, we must make a distinction, for there is only one truth. Either we all are missing the truth, or some of us have the truth and some of us don't. But the bottom line is there is only one truth. These excellent words of knowledge denotes one truth. Thus, it tells us in the 2nd verse of the 3rd chapter of Proverbs, for length of days and long life and peace shall they add unto thee. And if you are under the covenant of the law and doing them, then you should be an great old man, because that's exactly what these commandments was promised to give to our fathers. Well, today we have many people teaching opinions and rumors, and they are not living out half their days. Could it be Yahweh changed? Could it be that Yahweh's hand is shortened, that his ear is heavy? Or could it be that you're not under the covenant of the law today? It reads in the 3rd verse of the 3rd chapter of Proverbs, let not mercy and truth forsake thee. That's what we're about. That's what we're seeking for in this dark day. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon the table of thy heart. So shall thou find favor and good understanding, sound wisdom in the sight of Elohim and man. Trust in Yahweh with all thy heart, and lean not into thy own understanding, nor your brother and sister understanding, but lean on these words of excellency, these words of knowledge. The 6th verse reads, in all thy ways, not some of your ways, but in all thy ways, acknowledge him. And the only way you can acknowledge him is by going back into your holy scriptures and quoting what Yahweh has said and done. And he alone, for there is only one truth, and he shall direct thy paths. Be not wise in thy own eyes. That's a fool. Fear Yahweh and depart from evil. It shall be health, as we read, length of days, and a long life, and peace, it says, and it shall be health to thy navel, and marrow to thy bones. Honor Yahweh with thy substance, and with the first fruits of all thy increase. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. My son, despise not the chastisement of Yahweh, neither be weary of his correction. And that's exactly what's going on today. For whom Yahweh loves, he corrects, even as a father, the son in whom he delights. Happy, I say, is the man and woman that find wisdom, and the man and woman that gets understanding. For we truly need understanding on this subject matter, where the priest, or where's the teaching priest. Before I start this presentation, I would love to take us to the book of the law, for we will establish this truth by the law and by the testimonies, to show the world that we have light on this matter. And what we will find in the book of the law, if we turn our holy scriptures to Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter, we're going to find something that is dreadfully said and most times truly misunderstood. And what we find is in Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter, it tells us, if we pick up at the 20th verse, Deuteronomy 32, verse 20, and we will read to the 26th verse. And it tells us in Deuteronomy 32, verse 20, and it reads, and please take note of these words. Please hide these words in your heart and in your lips, that ye may understand what your Creator has said. For it tells us in the 20th verse, and he said, I will hide my face from them. I will see what their end shall be. For they are a very forward. Don't forget, he hates one being forward, and he hates one being perverse. It says they are a very forward generation, children in whom is no faith. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. For a fire is kindled in my anger, and shall burn into the lowest hell, and shall consume the earth with her increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. I will heap mischief upon them. Please take note of the chastisement. I will send my arrows upon them. They shall be burnt with hunger, and devoured with burning heat, and with bitter destruction. I will also send the teeth of beasts upon them, with the poison of serpents of the dust. Look what is going to befall Israel if they break the covenant of the law. If they do not find the covenant of the law among them, look what Yahweh said he would do. And I started in the 20th verse, and the first thing it said was, I will hide my face from them. And there is none that play or do hide and seek better than our Creator. Once he hide himself, there is none that can find him if he don't want them to find him. Thus, we continue to read all the things that befell our fathers once Yahweh had hidden his face from them. It picks up at the 24th verse, they shall be burnt with hunger and devoured with burning heat and with bitter destruction. I will also send the teeth of beasts upon them and the poison of serpents of the dust. The sword without and terror within shall destroy both the young men and the virgin, the suckling also with the man of gray hairs. And please take note of this last verse that I will read. It tells us in Deuteronomy 32, verse 26, I said, singular, the Creator, I said, I will scatter them into corners. Today we find ourselves on the four corners of this earth and throughout. I will make the remembrance. Please look up the word remembrance. You can find it in your Hebrew concordance under 2143. 2143 for the word remembrance. Look it up to make sure you understand what your Creator has said and done. For it tells us again, Israel, I will make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. And there's a great word in there that is a matter of controversy, and that word is cease. Because many people teach that the Sabbath has ceased, and they think when they read cease, that means it's perpetual. Well, cease means cease. Cease means to stop. Cease means to restrain. And same with your remembrance. The remembrance of you as being the holy seed of Israel has ceased. And it is Yahweh's doing. Yes, he used the enemy, and even the enemy didn't understand this great doing. For it tells us, if you read the 27th verse, that the enemy took this name of being, or this remembrance of being ceased, as a great deed that they have done. And they don't understand that it is the deed that Yahweh has done to vindicate his children. So, again, what I need you to understand in this 26th verse is that the Almighty said, I will make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. Well, today you are among men. And today your remembrance of who you are as a people, as the 12 tribes of Israel, have ceased. And how can we prove that? By not knowing who we are today. But so many people have read over this verse, and they only apply it to the tribe of Levi. They only say, well, the priest is, we don't know where the priest is, but we know where everybody else is. And that's impossible. not if the Almighty have made our remembrance to cease. And it's not just ceased among us, but it's ceased among man. So not even the enemy can really tell you who you are because of Yahweh making your remembrance to cease. And I just wanted to interject this and wanted you to ponder on this as we go through this presentation. And maybe it will help you to answer the question of the presentation, which is, where's the teaching priest? By the time you get done with this presentation, your answer should be scattered on the four corners of the earth, not knowing who they are, as we are this day. Let us turn our scriptures to Psalms 51. And as we turning to Psalms 51, ponder on what you just read in Deuteronomy 32:26 throughout this presentation. For it will give you sound wisdom on this presentation. Where's the teaching priest? Psalms 51. And it tells us in Psalms 51, if we all turn it, please. And if we pick up one second. Let's start at Psalms 50. Psalms 50. And it tells us in Psalms 50, if we start at the seventh verse. Psalms 50, starting at the 7th verse, and it reads, Hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Israel, and I will testify against thee by the law and by the testimonies. I am Elohim, even thy Elohim. I will not reprove thee for thy sacrifices, please take note, or thy burnt offerings, to have been continually before me. I will take no bullock out of thy house, nor he-goats out of thy flocks. For every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle upon 1,000 hills. I know all the fowls of the mountains, and the wild beasts of the field are mine. If I were hungry, I would not tell thee, for the world is mine, and the fullness thereof. Will I eat the flesh of bulls, or drink the blood of goats? Offer unto Elohim thanksgiving, not the thanksgiving that the heathens celebrated or commemorated, but the thanksgiving that Yahweh deserves for all that he have done, choosing the children of Israel, delivering the children of Israel out of the iron furnace, giving the children of Israel the statutes of life, giving the children of Israel the glory of all lands. Give thanks, it says in the 14th verse, offer unto Elohim thanksgiving. and pay thy vows unto the Most High, that which comes out of thy lips, and call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me. But unto the wicked, Elohim says, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes? Or that thou should take my covenant in thy mouth, seeing thou hatest instruction, and cast my words behind thee. And that's how many people find themselves today. They say they are under the covenant of the law, but they hate the instructions, and they cast all his words behind thee. It says, in the land that you possess, you cast that behind you. You find out what all of Israel's dwellings consist of, and those dwellings was based on the inheritance that Yahweh promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and we cast that behind us. And we say, no, brother, it's wherever we at. It tells us, Israel, seeing thy hatest instruction, and castest my words behind thee. When thou saw a thief collecting tithes, lying and robbing the people, then thou consented with him, and has been partaker with adulterers. Thou gavest thy mouth to evil, and thy tongue framed deceit. Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Thou slanderest thy own mother's son. These things hast thou done, and I kept silent. Though thou thoughtest that I was altogether such an one as thyself. But I will reprove thee, and note, the reproving will not be by way of sacrifices, nor by way of burnt offerings that was continuously given to our Creator. But it tells us, these things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Though thou thoughtest I was altogether such a one as thyself. But I will reprove thee, and set them in order before thy eyes. Now consider this, ye that forget Elohim, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Whoso orders or offers praise glorify me, and to him that orders his conversation aright will I show the salvation of Elohim. And we're going to order our conversation aright, dealing with this current presentation, which is called again, Where's the Teaching Priest? It tells us, if we turn our scriptures to Exodus, the 4th chapter. Exodus, the 4th chapter. But before we go to Exodus, the 4th chapter, let's take a quick look at the 51st verse of Psalms. Psalms 51. And let's pick up at the 4th verse. A third will be better, and it reads, For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Against thee, thee only have I sinned, and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Behold, thy desire truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part thy shall make me to know wisdom. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. Hide thy face from my sin, and blot out all my iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O Elohim, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from thy presence. No, because once he do, ain't no way you can get back unless he allow you to get back. And take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation, and uphold me with thy free spirit. The 13th verse will be the last verse that I will read. Then will I teach, then will I teach transgressors thy ways, and sinners shall be converted into thee. Let us turn our scriptures to Exodus, the 4th chapter. Exodus, the 4th chapter. For in Exodus, the 4th chapter, it tells us, if we pick up at the first verse, it reads, And Moses answered and said, But behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice. For they will say, Yahweh have not appeared unto thee. Now let's pick up at the 10th verse. And it says in the 10th verse, And Moses said unto Yahweh, O my master, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant. But I am slow of speech and of a slow tongue. And Yahweh said unto him, Who hath made man's mouth? Or who make the dumb, or deaf, or the seeing, or the blind? Have not I, Yahweh? Now therefore go, and I will be with thy mouth. So the words that's coming out of Moses and Aaron's mouth is Yahweh words. There are people teaching that the priests didn't even teach Israel the law. We got brothers and sisters that's in congregations and been there for years that don't understand that the priest was set apart not only to teach Israel the laws, but to serve Yahweh in his holiness. They forgot that Aaron was Moses' brother. And Aaron is the father of the priesthood. But they teach that the priest didn't teach Israel. You don't need no priest to keep the covenant of the law. If that is so, how did you get it? How did you know what to do? Let's keep reading. It tells us, Israel, in the 12th verse, Now therefore go, and I will be with thy mouth, and teach thee what I shall say. Now what is he teaching him? Is he not teaching him something to teach the rest of the children of Israel? Absolutely. And is he not the brother of the priest? Absolutely. Did not this brother named Aaron speak those same words? Absolutely. So is the priest the teacher of the covenant of the law or not? He is. Thus it reads. And he said, O my master, send I, pray thee, by the hand of him whom thou wilt send. And he is. And the anger of Yahweh was kindled against Moses. And he said, is not Aaron, please take note, the Levite, thy brother? I know that he can speak well. And that's who I got teaching Israel, the priest. And also, behold, he comes forth to meet thee. And when he see thee, he will be glad in his heart. And thou shalt speak into him. Please take note. And put words in his mouth. For what? To teach himself? It says, and I will be with thy mouth, and with his mouth, and will teach you what ye shall do. And he shall be thy spokesman unto the people. And he shall be, even he, the house, the priesthood, shall be to thee instead of a mouth. And thou shalt be to him instead of Elohim. So again, Israel, the priests was the teachers. The Almighty came to the priest's brother, which was Moses, and he told Moses what to tell the priest. And the priest told the people, and the priest told the enemy all that Yahweh wanted them to know. It also tells us, if we turn to the book of Isaiah, the 50th chapter, Isaiah 50. For it continues to allow us to know that Yahweh is the one that put the words in our mouths. Yahweh is the one that gives us sound wisdom. And Yahweh is the one that tells us who is to teach his children. It tells us in Isaiah 50, if we pick up at the 4th verse, and it reads, the Master Elohim has given me the tongue of the learned, just like the tongue of the learned was given to Moses, that I should know how to speak a word in season to him that is weary. And many of us are weary today dealing with this subject matter, where's the teaching priest? He wakens morning by morning. He's wakened my ear to hear as to learn. Yahweh Elohim have opened my ear, and I was not rebellious, neither turned away back. I gave my back to the smiters, and my cheeks to them that plucked off the hair. I hid not my face from shame and spitting when I told Israel that the covenant of the law is broken and that we need to be saved out of Jacob's troubles. For if the Master Elohim will help me, therefore shall I not be confounded. And I'm still not confounded to this day. We got people even today talking about show us one scripture where the priest taught Israel. That is ridiculous if you truly reading this book. It tells us, for Yahweh Elohim will help me. Therefore shall I not be confounded. Therefore have I set my face like a flint, and I know that I shall not be ashamed. And that's why it is so easy to bring forth these presentations. He is near that justify me. Who will contend with me? Let us stand together. Who is my adversary? Let him come near to me, because there's only one truth. So if you got another truth, and if you got several truths, then you are truly the adversary of the truth that's written. Behold, the Master Elohim will help me. Who is he that shall condemn me? Lo, they all shall wax old as a garment. That's exactly what happens. The moth shall eat them up. Who is among you that fear Yahweh? that obey the voice of his servant, that walk in darkness and have no light. Let them trust in the name of Yahweh. And that's how we started this presentation. There's no need to be forward or perverse, nor lean upon your own heart. All we got to do is trust what's written. Don't add nor take away. Let them trust in the name of Yahweh and stay upon his Elohim. Don't be given to change. Stay upon your Elohim. Behold, all ye that don't stay upon their Elohim, that kindle a fire, that compass yourselves about with sparks. Walk in the light of your fire, which is no light. It reads, and in the sparks that ye have kindled. This shall ye have of my hand. Ye shall lie down in sorrow, because you did not stay on every word, because you did not confirm every word, because you did not take every word pure. Thus you have found a liar, and you lie down in sorrow. It also tells us in the 51st chapter of Isaiah, while we still in Isaiah, it tells us in the 51st chapter of Isaiah, if we pick up at the first verse, it reads, hearken to me, ye that follow after righteousness. There's only one truth. There's only one path that takes you to sound wisdom, that denote absolute truth. Thus it reads, hearken to me, ye that follow after righteousness. And we're going to find out who he's talking about. Ye that seek Yahweh, look into the rock which ye are heaved, and to the hole of the pit which ye are digged. Look into Abraham your father, and into Sarah that bears you. For I called him alone, and blessed him, and increased him. Well, we got people saying when the Almighty called Abraham, he called the world, and he gave the world the covenant of the law, and that's another lie. Let's read. For Yahweh shall comfort Zion. He will comfort all her waste places, and he will make her wilderness like Eden, and her desert like the garden of Yahweh. Joy and gladness shall be found therein, thanksgiving and the voice of melody. And the thanksgiving is coming by way of the recipients of Yahweh's salvation and being a recipient of the statutes of life that he hath given to them. Hearken unto me, my people, and give ear unto me, O my nation, for a law shall proceed from me, and I will make my judgment to rest for a light of the people. My righteousness is near, my salvation is gone forth, and my arm shall judge the people. The owl shall wait upon me, and on my arm shall they trust. Lift up your eyes to the heavens, and look upon the earth beneath, for the heavens shall vanish away like smoke, and the earth shall wax old like a garment, and they that dwell therein shall die in like manner. But my salvation shall be forever, and my righteousness shall not be abolished. Hearken unto me, ye that know righteousness, the people in whose heart is my law. Fear ye not the reproach of men, neither be ye afraid of their revilings. For the moth shall eat them up like a garment, and the worm shall eat them like wool. But my righteousness shall be forever, and my salvation from generation to generation. Awake, awake, put on strength, O arm of Yahweh, awake as in the ancient days, in the generations of old. And if we remember what happened in the ancient days, dealing with the generations of old, and we know that Yahweh required that which is past. And if that is true, our fathers were taught the covenant of the law once they were freed out of slavery. Art thou not it that hath cut Rehab and wounded the dragon? Art thou not it which have dried up the sea, the waters of the great deep, that have made the depths of the sea a way for the ransom? No, for the ransom to pass over. Therefore the redeemed of Yahweh shall return and come with singing into Zion, and everlasting joy shall be upon their head. They shall be can't make out that word. Obtain gladness and joy, and sorrow and mourning shall flee away. I, even I, am he that comfort you. Sorry about that. I can't see that last word. Let me find it in another book where I can quote it correctly. 1 second. It tells us in Isaiah 51, verse 12, and it reads in its entirety, I, even I, am he that comforts you. Who art thou, that thou should be afraid of a man that shall die, and of the Son of Man which shall be made as grass? And forgettest Yahweh thy maker, that has stretched forth the heavens and laid the foundations of the earth, and has feared continually every day because of the fury of the oppressor, as if he were ready to destroy. And where is the fury of the oppressor? The captive exile hastened, that he may be loose, and that he should not die in the pit, nor that his bread shall fail. But I am Yahweh thy Elohim, that divide the sea, who waves roared. Yahweh of hosts is his name. And I have put my words in thy mouth, and I have covered thee in the shadow of my hand, that I may plant the heaven and lay the foundation of the earth, and say unto Zion, Thou art my people. Awake, awake, stand up, O Jerusalem, which have drunk at the hand of Yahweh the cup of his fury. Thou hast drunken the dregs of the cup of trembling, and wringed them out. There is none to guide her among all the sons whom she hath brought forth, neither is there any that take her by the hand of all the sons that she brought up. Two things are come into thee. Who shall be sorry for thee? Desolation and destruction, and the famine and the sword. By whom shall I comfort thee? Thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets, as wild bulls in a net. They are full of the fury of Yahweh, the rebuke of thy Elohim. Therefore hear now this, thy afflicted and drunken, but not with wine. Thus said the Master, Yahweh thy Elohim, that plead the cause of his people. Behold, I have taken out of thy hand the cup of trembling, even the dregs of the cup of my fury. Thou shalt no more drink it again, but I will put it into the hand of them that afflict thee, which have said to thy soul, bow down, nigger, that we may go over. And thou hast laid thy body as the ground and as the street to them that went over. So it allows us to know that there is only one truth. And when the Almighty got us on the path of that truth, and we are quoting his words and following the path of righteousness, we find ourselves rewarded. But when we go against these things and we are found forward and perverse in our lips, we find that the Almighty hides himself and that he chastised us as a father chastised a son in whom he is well pleased, and we are not to be weary. And in our weariness, we are to proclaim and to declare all that Yahweh have done, for it denotes his righteousness, not yours. It also tells us, if we take a look in Exodus, the 12th chapter. Exodus, the 12th chapter, because it allows us to know how Yahweh chastised us like a father chastised his son in whom he's well pleased. And it tells us not to be weary of the chastisement, because Yahweh is going to bring you out by way of salvation and redemption. Here in the 12th chapter, it tells us how our fathers came out of the iron furnace. And it tells us, if we take a look at the 12th chapter and pick up at the 24th verse, and it puts me in the mind of what my dear sister said today about her daughter asking her questions about the Holy Scripture and our Creator. Well, here in Exodus 12, at the 24th verse, it reads, "And ye shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever. And it shall come to pass when ye be come to the land," note, "which Yahweh will give you according as he hath promised, that ye shall keep this service. And it shall come to pass when your children shall say unto you, What means ye by this service? That ye shall say, It is the sacrifice of Yahweh's Passover, who jumped over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote the Egyptians, and delivered our houses, and the people bowed the head and worshiped. And the children of Israel went away and did as Yahweh commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they." And note who Aaron was, the priest. It also tells us, if we take a look at the 13th chapter of Exodus, the 8th verse and the 14th verse. The 8th verse reads, "And thou shalt show thy son in that day, saying, This is done because of that which Yahweh did unto me when I came forth out of Egypt." The 14th verse reads, "And it shall be, when thy son ask thee in time to come, saying, What is this? That thou shalt say unto him, By strength of hand Yahweh brought us out from Egypt, from the house of bondage." So it allows us to know that our children was to ask us, "What means ye by these services that the children would have found the obedient parents doing. Well, today we have children asking the disobedient or the blind Israelites, what means ye by this service today? And today we can't answer it as it is written. And don't forget, you don't supposed to be forward or perverse. So today we got children asking us, what means ye by this backward service that you're doing? And we cannot answer our children truthfully. We got to tell our children, well, just give the Almighty the benefit of the doubt. Well, just do the best you can. And you will never find that in any of these explanations that the parents gave to their children when their parents were in obedience in the land under the covenant of the law. And one of the reasons why we can't tell the truth today is because you are not under the covenant of the law, nor are you to do any of those statutes that Yahweh commanded our fathers to be done in the land that they inherit, which denoted all of their dwellings. It also tells us, if we take a look in the book of Joshua, the 4th chapter, Joshua, the 4th chapter. And it tells us in Joshua, the 4th chapter, the 5th book, or should I have said the 6th book of your Holy Scripture, Joshua, the 4th chapter, the 6th verse and 7th verse tells us that this may be a sign among you, that when your children ask their fathers in time to come, saying, what mean ye by these stones? Then ye shall answer them, that the waters of Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, when it passed over Jordan. The waters of Jordan were cut off, and these stones shall be for a memorial unto the children of Israel forever. So again, another testimony to show that our children would ask us, what means ye by this service? And the service that was being done was supposed to be done in your own land, in your inheritance that consists of all of your dwellings. And note that these things will be taught. It tells us also, if we take a look in the book of Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter. Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter. And it tells us in Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter, if we pick up at the 1st verse, and it reads, now, therefore hearken, O Israel, into the statutes and into the judgments which I teach you. Please take note that Israel was taught. Today they saying we are being taught, but when we are being taught today, we all have more than one opinion based on what we are being taught. Could it be because we are not under the covenant of the law? Could it be because we do not find ourselves in all our dwellings? And could it be because there is no teaching priest among us that we all have more than one opinion? It reads, which I teach you for to do them, that ye may live. and go in and possess the land which Yahweh Elohim of your fathers give you. Ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish aught from it, that ye may keep the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, which I command you. Your eyes have seen what Yahweh did because of Baal Peor, not your eyes, but our Father's eyes. For all the men that follow Baal Peor, Yahweh thy Elohim have destroyed them from among you. But ye, our fathers, that is, that did cleave unto Yahweh your Elohim are alive, every one of you this day. And note the 5th verse, and note if you are following instructions. It reads, behold, I have taught you. Who taught you? Everything that Yahweh said was told to Moses to tell us. And Moses was not an eloquent speaker. Thus, the Almighty put that spirit on his brother. And who was Moses' brother? The priest. So who taught Israel the covenant of the law? The priest. Thus it reads in the 5th verse again, behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahweh my Elohim command me. Right here, Moses is telling all you that don't believe that we need the priest, that Yahweh commanded him to teach you. And who did he use to do the good talking and the good speaking and give the excellent words of truth? Aaron. And who was Aaron? The priest. The high priest, the father of the priesthood. It tells us that ye should do so where? In the land, whether you go to possess it. And those are the words of Moses and the priests that come out of the mouth of Yahweh. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom. It is wisdom to know where Yahweh commanded Israel to do all that he has said. And many of us do not possess wisdom nor understanding, because you are telling people to do it wherever you at. It tells us in the 6th verse, based on the words of the priest, keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, as we read in Proverbs 3. In the sight of Elohim and man. Here it says, in the sight of the nations, we shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. Again, Israel, it is truly wisdom and understanding to know where Yahweh commanded our fathers to do all, because many of you don't know. The 7th verse reads, for what nation is there so great, who have Elohim so nigh into them, as Yahweh our Elohim is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great that have statutes and judgment? Well, according to many of our brothers, that's all the nations, because Yahweh gave the world a law, and they are a liar, and they do not coincide with this 8th verse that's asking the question, and what nation is there so great that have statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law which I set before you this day? Only take heed to thyself, and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thy eyes have seen. And you don't have to worry about it, because your eyes ain't seen nothing, but you got the testimony of what our Father's seen. And lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life. But what? Teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons, especially the day that thou stood before Yahweh thy Elohim in Horeb, when Yahweh said unto me, gather me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me. And how did they learn to fear Yahweh? Did not Moses and Aaron had to teach them? It reads, did they not have to tell them all that they heard? Did the people not say, you go hear what Yahweh said and come back and tell us, and we will do it? Deuteronomy 5:27. It continued to tell us in this 10th verse, that they may learn to fear me all the days they should live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children. And ye came near and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire into the midst of the heaven, with darkness, clouds, and thick darkness. And Yahweh spoke unto you out of the midst of the fire. Ye heard the voice of the words, but saw no similitude. Only you heard a voice. And he declared unto you his covenant, which he commanded you to perform, even 10 commandments, and he wrote them on 2 tables of stone. And where did he command for those things to be done? If you have forgotten that quick, all you must read is the 5th verse of the 4th chapter of Deuteronomy. And it ends in the 14th verse by saying, and Yahweh commanded me at that time to what? To teach you. Oh, they said everybody heard it. We don't need no priest. Well, why is Moses commanded at that time to teach you statutes and judgments? Why? That ye might do them in the land whether you go over to possess it. I thought they said wherever you are at. That ain't what the priest said, and that's why we need him. It also tells us, Israel, if we take a look at Deuteronomy, the 5th chapter. Deuteronomy, 5th chapter. And it tells us in Deuteronomy, 5th chapter, starting at the 1st verse, and Moses called all Israel, because all of them was taught the same thing, and said unto them, hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day. And not only hear them, but hear where they were to be done forever, that ye may learn them. Well, hold on. Don't somebody got to teach you to learn it? Absolutely. That's why we don't know nothing now. But our fathers had the opportunity to learn them, to teach and learn them, and keep and do them. Yahweh our Elohim made a covenant with us in Horeb. Yahweh made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us, even us, who are all of us alive this day. And he is talking to the people that found themselves in the wilderness 40 years after they came out of slavery. It tells us about the 10 Commandments. It tells us about the covenant of the law that is known as the 10 Commandments. And after you read these 10 Commandments, it picks up in the 22nd verse, and it reads in Deuteronomy 5:22, these words Yahweh speak into all your assembly in the mount out of the midst of the fire, of the cloud, and of the thick darkness with a great voice. And he added no more, nor can you. You will never give him the benefit of a doubt. You will never find where Yahweh ever suggested to his children to do the best they could. That is saying that Yahweh gave them something too hard to do. And everything that Yahweh gave Israel was very simple. It tells us, and he added no more, and he wrote them in 2 tables of stone and delivered them into me. And what did he do when he delivered them to Moses? Moses had to go teach what Yahweh had said. And it came to pass when ye heard the voice out of the midst of the darkness, for the mountain did burn with fire, that ye came near unto me, even all the heads of your tribes and of your elders. And ye said, behold, Yahweh our Elohim has showed us his glory and his greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. We have seen this day that Elohim does talk with man, and he lives. Now, therefore, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us. If we hear the voice of Yahweh our Elohim anymore, then we shall die. For who is there of all flesh that have heard the voice of the living Elohim speaking out of the midst of the fire as we have and lived? Note the 27th verse. Go thy near and hear all that Yahweh our Elohim shall say, and speak thy into us all, not some, every word that Yahweh our Elohim shall speak into thee, and we will hear it and do it. And none of those words sounded like do the best you can, nor give Yahweh the benefit of the doubt. It tells us, and Yahweh heard the voice of your words when ye speak unto me. And Yahweh said unto me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, which have spoken unto thee. They have well said all that they have spoken. And what did they say? What was all that they had spoken? They said, Moses, you go get the word. Bring it back to us. Tell us all that he said, and we will hear it and do it, period. And then it picks up at the 30th verse. It reads, go say to them, get you into your tents again. But as for thee, stand thy here by me. And who is the thee? It's the teachers. It's Moses and Aaron. And if it's not Aaron at this present, we know what was distilled upon Moses and Aaron. Aaron was supposed to be a spokesman for Yahweh as Moses, and Moses played the part as the Elohim. So Moses' mouth words are the words of Elohim. And Aaron, the priest, the teacher, supposed to receive those words and speak those words to all the people. Is he not teaching or not? Thus it reads in the 31st verse, but as for thee, stand thou here by me, and I will speak into thee all the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which thou shalt teach them, that they may do them. Where at? Wherever they find themselves? Absolutely not. It says, in the land which I give them to possess it. And that is probably why 99.9% of us is wrong today, because there is no teaching priest, and there is none to make a distinction between this defiled land and the holy land. The 32nd verse reads, ye shall observe to do therefore as Yahweh your Elohim hath commanded you. Ye shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. Ye shall walk in all, not the best you can, not give Yahweh the benefit of the doubt. The scripture told us he added no more. The tenor of the word did not change. Thus it reads, ye shall walk in all the ways which Yahweh your Elohim hath commanded you, that ye may live, and that it may be well with you, and that ain't the end of it, and that ye may prolong your days in the land which ye shall possess. That's why we need a priest, because we got people teaching that we possess wherever we are at, and that is foolishness, and that is not the tenor of the words of Yahweh. It also tells us, if we take a look at the 6th chapter of Deuteronomy, and it tells us in the 6th chapter of Deuteronomy, picks up at the same wise, and it reads in the first verse, now these are the commandments, and note, you're not under the commandments and the statutes without the judgments. Note how the judgment is always with the word commandment and always with the word statutes. You're not under one without the other. Don't forget, he added no more. You can't either, nor can you diminish. Thus it reads, now these are the commandments, the statutes, and what? The judgments which Yahweh your Elohim commanded to teach you. Come on, Israel. That ye might do them wherever you at? Absolutely not. That is not the story. The story is in the land, whether you go to possess it. That thou mightest fear, note, in doing these instructions, as he says it, it denotes your fear. That's why your brother will never say your dwelling is wherever you are at. It reads, that thou mightest fear Yahweh thy Elohim, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee, thy and thy son and thy son's son, all the days of thy life. So it don't change. If you're alive today, then it don't change. It's going to be always in the land that you possess. That thy days may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it as it is written, that it may be well with thee. It ain't going to be well with you doing it the way you want to do it, or doing it according to your opinion. It says that it may be well with thee, and that ye may increase mightily, as Yahweh Elohim of thy fathers hath promised thee, in the land that floweth with milk and honey. He never promised you these things in the land of your defilement. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our Elohim is one. So is his word and his truth. And thou shalt love Yahweh thy Elohim with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thy heart. And thou shalt what? Teach them diligently unto thy children, and shall talk of them when thou sittest in thy house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they, the statutes, the commandments, the judgments, shall be a frontlet between thy eyes. And thou shalt write them on the posts of thy house and on thy gates. And this here denote more like home school, or yes, like being taught at home, the responsibilities of the parents. But the parents got their knowledge from the priests. And if they ever had any controversy about their knowledge, we're going to show they had to come to the priest because he is the teacher. It tells us, Israel, in the 10th verse, and it shall be when Yahweh thy Elohim hath brought thee into the land which he sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give thee great and goodly cities, which thou buildest not, and houses full of all good things, which thou fillest not. And y'all know it ain't talking about this place. You must forget the first 200 years of our stay here. And we keep on talking about we under the Sabbath, and I done asked my brothers and sisters over and over again, when did we come under the Sabbath? Because according to history, and they that forget history shall repeat it. But according to history, our first 200 years, we worked it every day from sun up to sundown. And if you knew anything about the full moon, we worked on the full moon also, no matter what day it was. If the moon was bright enough that the master could see you and you could see your work, we was out there looking up. And wells dig, which thou dig not, vineyards and olive trees, which thou plantest not. You know we planted every one of these things over here. It's not talking about here. When thou shalt have eaten and be full, then beware lest I forget Yahweh which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Thou shalt fear Yahweh thy Elohim and serve him, and shall swear by his name. Ye shall not go after other gods, of the people which are round about you, talking about round about the land of Canaan. For Yahweh thy Elohim is a jealous Elohim among you, lest the anger of Yahweh thy Elohim be kindled against thee and destroy thee from off the face of the earth. The face of the earth he's speaking about is the land of Canaan. Ye shall not tempt Yahweh your Elohim as ye tempt him in Massah. Ye shall diligently keep the commandment of Yahweh your Elohim and his testimonies and his statutes which he hath commanded thee. And thou shalt do that which is right and good in the sight of Yahweh, that it may be well with thee. And he told you what was right and good. Not only did he tell you what was right and good, he told you where to do the right and good. And that thou mayest go in and possess the good land which Yahweh swore unto your fathers. It also tells us to cast out all thy enemies from before thee, as Yahweh has spoken. No, your enemy is still among you, because you are in the enemy's land. And when thy son, here it go again, and when thy son asks thee in time to come, saying, what means the testimonies and the statutes and the things that our brothers and sisters love to skip over today? It says, in the judgments which Yahweh our Elohim commanded you. Then thou shalt say unto thy son, if you honest, we were Pharaoh's bondsmen in Egypt, talking about our fathers. And Yahweh brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand. And Yahweh showed signs and wonders great and sore upon Egypt, upon Pharaoh, and upon all his household before our eyes, our father eyes, that is. And he brought them out from thence that he might bring them in to give them the land which he sware unto our fathers. And Yahweh commanded us, or them, to do all these statutes, to fear Yahweh our Elohim for their good always, that he might preserve them alive as it is, or as it was at that day. And I'm reading it like that to let you understand that you are reading this from the second and third person. You're not reading it from the first person, because you are Johnny come lately. You are one that found yourself in the iron furnace, not one that found yourself free living under these words. The 25th verse reads, and it shall be our righteousness, or it reads, and it shall be their righteousness if they observe to do all these commandments before Yahweh our Elohim as he hath commanded them. We are reading what was said and done to our fathers. We must understand the scriptures according to time and place. It also tells us in the 8th chapter of the book of Deuteronomy, and it reads to the 11th verse, all the commandments which I command thee this day shall ye observe to do, that ye may live and multiply and go in and possess the land which Yahweh sware unto your fathers. And thou shalt remember all the way which Yahweh thy Elohim led thee these 40 years in the wilderness. To do what? To humble thee and to test thee, to know what was in thy heart, whether thou would keep his commandments or no. And he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man does not live by bread only, but by every word that proceed, I said, but by every word that proceed out of the mouth of Yahweh does man live. Note, every word. Thy raiment waxed not old upon thee, neither did thy feet swell these 40 years. Thou shalt also consider in thy heart that as a man chastises his son, so Yahweh thy Elohim chastised thee. Therefore thou shalt keep the commandments of Yahweh thy Elohim, to walk in his ways and to fear him. For Yahweh thy Elohim bring thee into a good land. Note, a land of brooks, of water, of fountains and depths that spring out of valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley, vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of oil, olive and honey, a land wherein thou shalt eat bread without scarceness. Thou shalt not lack anything in it. You lack everything where you at today. A land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills thou may dig brass. When thou hast eaten and art full, then thou shalt bless Yahweh thy Elohim for the good land. Note, which he hath given thee. The 11th verse would be the last verse I read. It said, beware that thou forget not Yahweh thy Elohim. How? And not keeping his commandments and his judgments and his statutes, which I command thee this So if you can't acknowledge the judgments with everything else, the Almighty call it you forgetting Him. The Almighty call it you just don't know. And it definitely don't make it right. It makes you wrong. It also tells us, if we turn our scriptures to Isaiah 53, Isaiah 54. But before we go to Isaiah 54, while I find myself in Deuteronomy, let me shoot this at you right quick. Because the presentation is called, Where's the Teaching Priest? And it's another scripture I'm going to have to find. It's going to have to come to my memory. It will. But I want to take you here right now since this just hit me in my memory. Deuteronomy 24:8 tells us this. It's another law that I want to show dealing with a visiting Levite or a priest and how he was to be accepted and used no matter what city he was in dealing with Israel. I can't find it right off the top of my head. I'm going to keep looking. But right now I want to show what it says in Deuteronomy 24. And it tells us in Deuteronomy 24, the 8th verse. And it reads in Deuteronomy 24, Deuteronomy 24 tells us in the 8th verse, take heed in the plague of leprosy, that thou observe diligently and do according to all that the priests, the Levites, shall teach you. And I just want to throw this in for those that don't know. All priests are Levites. All the priests come from the house of Levi. But all Levites are not priests. So you gotta have and know how to make that distinction. There's a family of priests, but the family of priests come by way of Levites. But all Levites are not the family of the priests. Here it tells us, again in the 8th verse, take heed in the plague of leprosy, that thou observe diligently and do according to all that the priests, the Levites shall what? Are they not the teaching? Are they not the teachers? Because for some reason, Yahweh keep telling us that the priests, the Levites, shall teach you. And the key word for teach is Torah. So are they not the teachers of the Torah? It reads, Israel, as I commanded them, so ye shall observe to do. The Almighty is giving you the order. If you don't want to believe it, the Almighty giving you the order right here. Whatever I teach the priest, you got to do it, because they're going to teach you. And it also tells us in the 9th verse, in case you want to add, in case you don't take Yahweh's word as being pure, he says, remember what Yahweh thy Elohim did unto Miriam by the way, after that ye were come forth out of Egypt. So don't forget that he put the leprosy on Miriam. And why did he put the leprosy on Miriam? Because she spoke against the teacher. She spoke against the most meekest and faithfulest man in Yahweh's house. And she didn't do it alone. She had the priest do it with her. And who was the priest? Her brother, Aaron. And Moses hurried up and prayed for Aaron to where the Almighty didn't destroy him either. So his job, their job is to teach Israel. And we're going to show that. And we've been showing it. It also tells us, now let's go to Isaiah 54, because I just wanted y'all to see that. Another place that the Almighty is admonishing Israel to take heed in the plague of leprosy, that thou observe diligently and do according to all that the priest, the Levite, shall teach you. Period. It also tells us in Isaiah 54, verse 13. Isaiah 54, verse 13. And it reads, and all thy children shall be taught of Yahweh, and great shall be the peace of thy children. No, we got to be taught. The reason why we have formulated so many opinions today is because we were never taught. We have never came out of the womb being able to choose life and death. We were born into hell. We were born into darkness and hell. We waiting to be saved out of this. And once we are saved out of this, the Almighty promised us that he will do us like he did our fathers. And what did he do with our fathers? He delivered them from hell, and then he taught them the statutes of life. He gave them the statutes of life. And those statutes of life he gave had to be taught to us. And it was taught to us by the most meekest and faithful man in Yahweh's house, and by his brother, which is the head of the priesthood. It tells us in Isaiah 54:13 again, and all thy children shall be taught of Yahweh, and great shall be the peace of thy children. It also tells us in Isaiah 11, verse 9, about this teaching. And don't forget, hey, how about this one? And I almost let it slip my mind. What about Deuteronomy? We going, what did I just say? I just said Isaiah 9. Let us all go to Isaiah 9. And while y'all go to Isaiah 9, let me hit you with something else that just hit me in my head. Let me find it first. But we all should be going to Isaiah 11. Well, as we go to Isaiah 11, I can't believe it's almost slipped my mind. It tells us, I think I want to find it in Deuteronomy. 1 second. I hate that this is slipping my mind. I can quote it, but I don't want to quote it. Let's go to Isaiah 11 and 9. It'll come to my mind. I just need to go to the right place. Isaiah 11 and 9 tells us this. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain. For the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yahweh, as the water cover the sea. This denote, as many people call religion, this denote true religion to the whole world. And I brought you here to let you ponder on what you just read, because what you just read allows us to know that this knowledge, this on the face of the earth. And I wanted you to ponder, how would they receive it? Would they just find it behind a tree? Would they find it under a rock? Would they send somebody to the moon? Or would there be people on the face of the earth teaching the whole world? And that was the answer to that was the actual chapter I was trying to remember. My recollection is not serving me well today, but I think it's in Deuteronomy. I know it's in Deuteronomy, and what I was trying to find the exact chapter and verse, it just allows us to know that Yahweh was going to make us a kingdom of priests. Well, before we became a kingdom of priests, we were a family of priests. And what did the family of priests do? Did not the family of the priests teach the rest of the children of Israel? Absolutely. So we don't need a nation of priests to teach a nation. We only needed a family, and we had that family. That family was the family of Levi, Aaron. All right. Now we just read in Isaiah 11:9 where the whole earth is going to be covered with the knowledge of Yahweh as the waters in the sea. Now, who's going to teach the whole earth? I think it will be a kingdom instead of a family. Thus, the Almighty promised us, and that has not happened yet, that we will be a kingdom of priests. And the reason why that hasn't happened yet, because the Almighty has not covered the earth. Or as it reads in the 9th verse, they shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yahweh as the water covered the sea. Well, that has not happened yet. And it's not going to happen before Israel become a kingdom of priests, because that knowledge got to be taught. And if you compare it with us today, that's why we don't know nothing, because that knowledge has not been taught. We got many opinions, many rumors based on our own perverseness, based on our own forwardness, and it is not based on a teaching priest. And it wasn't in our father days, and it sure ain't in our days. Also, let's go back to Deuteronomy, the 11th chapter. Deuteronomy, the 11th chapter. And it tells us in Deuteronomy, the 11th chapter, if we take a look at the 19th verse, and it tells us in Deuteronomy, the 11th chapter, the 19th verse, Deuteronomy, the 11th chapter, the 19th verse, it tells us, and ye shall teach them your children, speaking of them when thou sittest in thy house, and when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, and when thou risest up, and thou shalt write them upon the doorposts of thy house and upon thy gates. And the reason why you're doing these things, because you're being taught, and that's what the parents are supposed to taught the children. But note that the parents got their teachings from the priests. The Almighty put the Spirit on able men that had the same heart as Moses, and they were to be the judges and things like that to rule over us. And all these things had to do with the teachings. They had to be taught. That which had slipped my mind. My wife had just gave it to me. I think that was, what was that again? Exodus 19 is what I was trying to think of. Sorry about that. I kept saying Deuteronomy because I've been in and out of Deuteronomy, but it wasn't never Deuteronomy. It was Exodus, the 19th chapter, and it tells us in Exodus, the 19th chapter, starting at the 5th verse, now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a particular treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is mine. And I just told you in Isaiah 11 and 9 that I was going to cover the whole earth with my knowledge as the waters cover the sea. And your brother told you that, well, somebody going to have to teach them. Or they going to find it like we finding it today in America, under a rock, behind a tree, or something like that. The scripture tells us in the 6th verse, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests. Now, why are we a king going to be a kingdom of priests if the priests ain't the one that taught nothing? If the priests only took care of the temple, they didn't tell Israel about the law. They didn't teach Israel the law. That's what I done heard today. All you got to do is go on Facebook and look at the comments that I have received about this particular subject. They telling us we don't need no priests. We never needed no priest. The priest didn't teach the law. The priest taught how to take care of the temple. That is a lie. The Almighty gave the priests the word to teach and punished them for not teaching it right. You mean they ain't the teachers? We're going to get there. We ain't even got to that part yet. But here it tells us in the 6th verse, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. So all your brothers and sisters that have been lying to you, telling us that the priest was not the teachers, make sure you let them know that not only was the priest as the family was the teachers, but the Almighty will is for all of us to be a priest to teach the world. The priest is the teacher, Israel. Where did I leave out? 19, did I read that 19? Yes, I read the 19, and it says again, and ye shall, Deuteronomy 11:19, and ye shall teach them your children, speaking of them when thou sittest in thy house, and when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. Well, what if you didn't know? What if there was a controversy? What if you wasn't for sure? Who do you ask? Your daddy, your mama, or the priest? It's the priest, Israel. It also tells us why we're still in Deuteronomy. Let's take a look at the 21st chapter to let you know that it was the priest. Not only did the priest tell the father and mother what to teach or explain to the father and mother what Yahweh said, but they also taught them the judgments thereof, which they were to execute. And here's the great testimony of this truth that you can find in Deuteronomy 21:18. And it tells us in Deuteronomy 21:18 again, and it's as it reads, if a man has a stubborn and rebellious son, it's the law now, and many people teach, no, the father and the mother was the only teachers. Well, they had to be taught from somebody, and we are proving that that was the teaching priest. It says, if a man have a stubborn and rebellious son, which will not obey the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, and that when they have chastened him, will not hearken unto them, then shall his father and his mother lay hold on him and bring him into the elders of his city and into the gate of his place. And they shall say unto the elders of his city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. Note, and all the men of his city shall stone him with stones, that he die. Why? So shall thy put evil away among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear. Now, a lot of people that ain't keeping up, ain't familiar with our studies, and ain't following every word in the book, they might say what the brother said, this is supposed to be showing the priest. This just said all the men of the city. Or another verse just said the elders of his city. That don't denote the priest. Well, it does, if you have been keeping up with what is written. As a matter of fact, I think I just found the other verse that I was looking for, and it's right here in this same chapter. Look at stay where we at. We're in the same chapter. Look at the 21st chapter of Deuteronomy, the 5th verse. And that was one of the verses I was looking for also. And it says, the priests, the sons of Levi, shall come near for them, Yahweh thy Elohim hath chosen to minister unto him and to bless in the name of Yahweh, and by their word shall every controversy and every stroke be tried. Note, by their word shall every controversy and every stroke be tried. Who did you go to? Who was that? The priests, the sons of Levi. Well, here that was just tried, and the answer was, according to the 21st verse, and all the men of his city shall stone him with stones that he die. So shall I put evil away from among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear. If that is not enough, let's take a look at Leviticus, the 10th chapter. By the law and by the testimony, we can easily show this point, that the priests have always been the teachers of Israel. And they are the teachers of Israel because Yahweh selected them. And who know better than Yahweh? It tells us, Leviticus, the 10th chapter. This is where we all should be. Leviticus, the 10th chapter. And it tells us in Leviticus, the 10th chapter, if we pick up at the 8th verse, we find some rules. Excuse me. We find some rules given to the priests. And the rules is, if we pick up at the 8th verse of the 10th chapter of Leviticus, it reads, "And Yahweh spake unto Aaron, saying, Do not drink wine, nor strong drink, thou nor thy sons with thee, when ye go into the tabernacle of the congregation, lest ye die. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations." Why such a harsh rule? It reads in the 10th verse, "And that ye may put difference between holy and unholy, and between clean and unclean." Did you get that, Israel? For all those that teach we don't need a priest. And then, according to the rule, in the 11th verse it says, "And that ye may" what? Torah. You look up this word teach. In this context, it denotes Torah. "And that ye may Torah the children of Israel all the statutes which Yahweh has spoken into them by the hand of your brother Moses." It reads again in the 11th verse, "And that ye may teach." Look up the word teach, 3384. It will denote Torah, Torah. The children of Israel, all the statutes. Now, who is teaching Israel all the statutes which Yahweh has spoken into them by the hand of Moses? Did not your brother say it was Moses' brother Aaron? Absolutely. And who do Aaron denote? What office do he denote? The priesthood. The only way our brothers and sisters could be right if they diminish from the word, or if they add from the word. And they won't be right, because that denote forwardness and that denote perverseness. It also tells us, Israel, if we take a quick look in let's go to Deuteronomy 17. Deuteronomy 17. And I just put this presentation together today. I didn't have enough time to put all my scriptures down like I normally do. But most of these scriptures are in your heart. They're in your mind, and they should come straight out your lips. Deuteronomy 17. It tells us in Deuteronomy 17, if we pick up at the very first verse, and we're going to read to the 13th verse to prove again that the priest is the teachers of Israel. It tells us in the very first verse, "Thou shalt not sacrifice," and note these words. These words we read, and somebody had to teach us this. "Thou shalt not sacrifice unto Yahweh thy Elohim any bullock or sheep, wherein is blemish or any ill-favoredness, for that is an abomination unto Yahweh thy Elohim." So the children of Israel had to be taught these things, where they would not give anything that denoted a blemish and that denoted an abomination to Yahweh. They had to be taught this. And note, the priest was already established before the kings. So we had to be taught this by somebody. And your brother is saying by a teaching priest. The second verse reads, if there be found among you, and note this second verse, because this second verse denotes transgressing the covenant. But it tells you where you transgress it at. It don't allow you to know that you transgress the covenant wherever you at. It allows you to know that you only transgress the covenant in your dwellings. Thus, the second verse read, Israel, if there be found among you within any of thy gates your dwellings, which Yahweh thy Elohim give thee, man or woman, that have wrought wickedness in the sight of Yahweh thy Elohim, how? In transgressing the covenant. Well, right here it shows us how our fathers transgressed the covenant, or how they could have transgressed the covenant in their gates, in their dwellings, in their kingdom, in their country, and have gone and served other gods and worshiped them, either the sun or moon. And we got testimony of our fathers doing it in their dwellings, the sun and the moon, or any of the host of heaven, which I have not commanded, and it be told thee. Told who? And thy hear, and thy hast heard of it, and inquire diligently, and behold, it be true, and the thing certain, that such an abomination is wrought in Israel, then shalt thou bring forth that man or that woman which have committed that wicked thing into thy gates, even that man or that woman, and thou shalt stone them with stones till they die. At the mouth of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses, and this is being taught to all Israel, shall he that is worthy of death be put to death. But at the mouth of 1 witness he shall not be put to death. The hands of the witnesses shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hands of all the people. So thou shalt put the evil away from among you. Note, if there arise a matter too hard for thee in judgment, dealing with the law, Israel, between blood and blood, between plead and plead, and between stroke and stroke, being matters of controversy within thy gates, in your dwellings, in your country, in your kingdom, then shall thou arise and get thee up into the place which Yahweh thy Elohim shall choose, and thou shalt come into the what? The priests, the Levites, and into the judges that shall be in those days. And why the judges? Did you forget what Moses and them did in the book of Exodus, where they was coming to Moses for all the matters of Israel, and the Almighty put the Spirit on them when his father Jethro talked to them, and they put the Spirit that was on Moses on able men, that they may judge also, where it don't pine Moses away. And you can find that truth in Exodus, the 18th chapter. That's why you will find judges. But the presentation is about the priest. And that's who you sing first. The priest. Thou shalt come into the priest. The Levite for what? Is he going to teach us something, or are we just telling him something? It says, and thou shalt come into the priest, the Levite, and into the judge that shall be in those days, if you under the covenant of the law, and inquire, and they shall show thee the sentence of the judgment. Just like we just read in the 18th chapter. And thou shalt do according to the sentence which they which they of that place, which Yahweh shall choose, shall show thee, and thou shalt observe to do according to all they inform, teach thee, according to the sentence of the law, which they shall teach thee, Israel, and according to the judgment which they shall tell thee. Thou shalt do, thou shalt not decline from the sentence which they shall show thee, to the right hand or to the left. And the man that don't need the priest, it says, and the man that will do presumptuously and will not hearken unto the priest, that stand to minister there before Yahweh thy Elohim, or into the judge, even that man shall die. Many of our brothers and sisters would have died if we were under the covenant of the law today, teaching we don't need no priest. Because they would have heard what the words of the priest was, and they would have disregarded them, and they would have died. That was the sentence. That's the deal from your Creator. Thus it reads, thou shalt put away evil from Israel. And all the people understood and believed the priest. It reads, and all the people shall hear and fear and do more presumptuously. You need the priest, Israel. We were taught by the priest, Israel. When there were matters of controversy dealing with the law, the priest stood up to allow Israel to know the right path of their Creator. That is teaching. And if that ain't enough for you, let's take a look at 2 Chronicles 17. 2 Chronicles 17. If that's not enough, because I know we are headed, stiff-hearted. So let's go somewhere else to soften that hard head. It tells us in 2 Chronicles, the 17th chapter. If we pick up at the very first verse. 2 Chronicles, the 17th chapter, the very first verse, and it reads, and this is during the time our fathers in the land, they under the covenant of the law, so they allow us to know by way of testimony what was the job of the priest. Did they teach, or did they just take care of the house? It tells us, Israel, and Jehoshaphat, his son, reigned in his stead and strengthened himself against Israel. And he placed forts in all the fenced cities of Yehuda and set garrisons in the land of Yehuda and in the cities of Ephraim, which Asa, his father, had taken. And Yahweh was with Jehoshaphat because he walked in the first ways of his father David and sought not into Balaam, but sought to Yahweh Elohim of his fathers and walked in his commandments and not after the doings of Israel. Therefore Yahweh established the kingdom in his hand. And all Yehuda brought to Jehoshaphat presents, and he had riches and honor in abundance. And his heart was lifted up in the ways of Yahweh. Moreover, he took away the high places and the groves out of Yehuda. Also, in the 3rd year of his reign, he set to his princes, even to Ben-Hiel, and to Obadiah, and to Zechariah, and to Nathaniel, and to Micaiah, to teach in the cities of Yehuda. And with them he sent, Levites, even Shemaiah, and Nathaniah, and Zabiah, and Azel, and Shemaiah, and Jonathan, and Adaiah, and Tobiah, and Abniah, Levites, and with them Elishma and Aharam, priests. And they what? And they taught in Yehuda, and had the book of the law of Yahweh with them, and went about throughout all the cities of Yehuda, and did what? And taught the people. And the fear of Yahweh fell upon all the kingdoms. So they must be teaching the right thing. Because it says, and the fear of Yahweh fell upon all the kingdoms of the lands that were round about Yehuda, so that they made no war against Jehoshaphat. So again, Israel, they were taught, and the priests were always in the midst of that teaching. If there's any matter of controversy based on what is to be taught to Israel, you were to bring that to the priest, and he squashed all controversies. Well, today we have controversy after controversy after controversy, and I'm the only one trying to make a difference. I'm the only one trying to show or make a distinction. But we got many people totally disagree with what we are reading and what we are teaching, and they do not have the answer. They have no one to go to squash the controversy. The controversy just goes on and on and on and on. Not so if there was a teaching priest and if you were under the covenant of the law. It also tells us why we find ourselves in 2 Chronicles if we go to the 19th chapter. I know that's not enough for you. The Almighty said your head is hard, but He's going to make mine harder. Thus it reads. If we pick up at the 3rd verse, it says, nevertheless, there are good things found in thee, and that thou hast taken away the groves out of the land, and hast prepared thy heart to seek Elohim. And Jehoshaphat dwelt at Jerusalem, and he went out again through the people from Beersheba to Mount Ephraim, and brought them back into the Yahweh Elohim of their fathers. And he set judges in the land throughout all the fenced cities of Yehuda, city by city, as it is written in Exodus the 18th chapter, and said to the judges, take heed what ye do, for ye judge not for man, but for Yahweh, who is with you in the judgment. Wherefore now let the fear of Yahweh be upon you. Take heed and do it, for there is no iniquity with Yahweh our Elohim, nor respect of persons, nor taking of gifts. And there is no respect of person with your brother either. So I don't respect none of our brothers that speak against these words. I will never respect them over these words. Never. Thus it tells us, moreover, in Jerusalem did Jehoshaphat set the Levites and of the priests and of the chiefs of the fathers of Israel for the judgment of Yahweh. And the judgment of Yahweh always deal with the statutes, the commandments, the ordinances, the testimonies, the law. Thus it reads, for the judgment of Yahweh and for the controversies when they return to Jerusalem. And the king charged them, saying, thus shall ye do in the fear of Yahweh. You can't do this if you don't fear Him. Faithfully and with a perfect heart. And what cause soever shall come to you of your brethren that dwell in their cities, between blood and blood, between what? Law and commandment, statute and judgment, ye shall even warn them that they trespass not against Yahweh. And how do you warn them? You tell them by teaching them. And so wrath come upon you and upon your brethren. This do, and ye shall not trespass. And note, and behold, Amariah, the chief priest is over you in all matters of Yahweh. Now, if that ain't the teacher, who is? Over all the matter. What is the matter of Yahweh? The law. Torah. This is checkmate if you play chess, but many of you playing checkers, so let's keep reading. It says, one more time in the 11th verse, and behold, Amariah, the chief priest, is over you in all matters of Yahweh. And Zebediah, the son of Ishmael, the ruler of the house of Yehudah, for all the king's matters. Also the Levites shall be officers before you. After he said all that, it said, deal courageously, and Yahweh shall be with the good. I bet Yahweh was with that teaching priest. I bet you any amount of money you want to bet. Just like he's going to be with us, teaching and declaring that they're supposed to be a teaching priest. It also tells us, if we take a look in the book of Jeremiah, the 9th chapter, it tells us in Jeremiah, the 9th chapter, if we pick up at the very first verse, and it reads, oh, that my head was waters, and my eyes a fountain of tears, that I might weep day and night for the slain of the daughters of my people. Oh, that I had in the wilderness a lodging place, a wayfaring man or men, that I might leave my people and go from them. For they be all adulterers, an assembly of treacherous men, and they bend their tongue like their bow for lies. But they are not villain for the truth upon the earth, and that's what I see with most of our brothers and sisters. They're not villain for the truth. They're going to leave out he that defiled the Sabbath day should die. They're going to leave out in all the land that you possess. They're going to leave those things out because they are not villain for the truth upon the earth. For they proceed from evil to evil, collecting tithes, robbing the poor and afflicted. And they know not me, said Yahweh. How could you know Yahweh and rob his children at the same time? It's just like somebody telling me that you my partner, but you robbing my children. You ain't my partner. How could you be? It tells us, Israel, it says, and they know not me, said Yahweh. Take ye heed every one of his neighbor. You better. And trust ye not in any brother. For every brother will utterly supplant, and every neighbor will walk with slander. And they will deceive every one his neighbor, and will not speak the truth. They have taught, nope, they ain't being taught by the teaching priest. This is the thing they taught themselves because they don't believe they need a priest. They have taught their tongue to speak lies and weary themselves to commit iniquities. Thine habitation is in the midst of deceit. Through deceit they refuse to know me, and that's the only reason we are teaching this truth, because we want you to know Yahweh, said Yahweh. Therefore, thus said Yahweh of hosts, behold, I will melt them and try them. For how shall I do for the daughters of my people? Their tongue is as an arrow, shot out. It speak deceit. One speaketh peacefully into his neighbor with his mouth, but in his heart lay his weight, pay those tithes. Shall I not visit them for these things, said Yahweh? Shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? For the mountains will I take up a weeping and wailing, and for the inhabitants of the wilderness a lamentation. Because because they are burned up, so that none can pass through them. Neither can man hear the voice of the cattle. Both the fowl of the heaven and the beasts are fled. They are gone. And I will make Jerusalem heaps and a den of dragons. And I will make the cities of Yehuda desolate without an inhabitant. Who is the wise man that may understand this? And who is he to whom the mouth of Yahweh has spoken, that he may declare it? We are. For what the land perished, and is burnt up like a wilderness, that none pass through. And Yahweh said, because they have forsaken my law, which I set before them, and have not obeyed my voice, neither walked therein, but have walked after the imagination of their own heart, and after Balaam, which their fathers taught them. It also tells us, if we take a look at 1 Chronicles, the 23rd chapter, 1 Chronicles, the 23rd chapter, and it tells us in 1 Chronicles, the 23rd chapter, if we pick up at the 24th verse, and it tells us in 1 Chronicles, the 23rd chapter, picking up at the 24th verse. One second. I'll start at the 13th verse. If you read the whole chapter, it gives us a great idea of the duties of the Levites. Thus, I will pick up at the 13th verse, and it says, the sons of Aaron, Aaron and Moses. And Aaron was separated. Note, Aaron was separated, that he should sanctify the most holy things, he and his sons forever, to burn incense before Yahweh, to minister unto him, and to bless in his name forever. Now concerning Moses, the man of Elohim, his sons were named of the tribe of Levi. And then it gives you the names of Moses' sons. If we jump down to the 24th verse, it says, these were the sons of Levi after the house of their fathers, even the chiefs of the fathers, as they were counted by number of names by their poll, that did the work for the service of the house of Yahweh from the age of 20 years and upward. For David said, Yahweh Elohim of Israel have given rest unto his people, that they may dwell in Jerusalem forever. And also unto the Levites, they shall no more carry the tabernacle, nor any vessels of it for the service thereof. For by the last words of David, the Levites were numbered from 20 years old and above, because their office was to wait on the sons of Aaron for the service of the house of Yahweh in the courts and in the chambers and in the purifying of all holy things, and the work of the service of the house of Elohim, both for the shewbread and for the fine flour, for meat offering, for the unleavened cakes, and for that which is baked in the pan, and for that which is fried, and for all manner of the measures and size. And to stand every morning to thank and praise Yahweh, and likewise at even, and to offer all burnt sacrifices to Yahweh in the Sabbaths and in the new moons and on the set feasts by number, according to the order commanded unto them continually before Yahweh, and that they should keep the charge of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the charge of the holy things, and the charge of the sons of Aaron, their brethren, in the service of the house of Yahweh. So it allows us to know that the service of the house of Yahweh. And then you can read the next chapter, and it allows you to know the organizations of the priests. So it continue on to allow us to know the jobs of the Levites and the priests. And it was not just to teach Israel the law, but it was also to teach Israel the law to make a distinction between the holy and the profane. And it was also their job was picked to be separate from their brothers to take care of the house, which was the temple. It also tells us in the 25th verse, or the 25th chapter, it tells us in the first verse, it reads, moreover, David and the captains of the host separated to the service of the sons of Asaph and Heman and Jehoiakim, who should prophesy with harps, with pastries, and with timbrels, and number of the workmen according to their service was. And then it tells us in the 7th verse, so the number of them with their brethren that were instructed in the song of Yahweh, even all that were conning, was 288. 288. A score is 20, and it was 4 scores. And they cast lots word against word, as well, and the small as the great, the teachers as the scholars. So it allows us to know that they were scholars, they were teachers. It also tells us in the book of Malachi. The book of Malachi, the 2nd chapter, tells us in the 2nd chapter of Malachi, and it reads in the very first verse, and now, O ye priests, know who he's talking about, and let's see why. Why is the priest? Why is the priest chosen? It says, and now, O ye priests, this commandment is for you. If ye will not hear, and if ye will not lay it to heart to give glory unto my name, said Yahweh of hosts, I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Yea, I have cursed them already. Why? Because you do not lay it to heart. Behold, I will corrupt your seed and spray dung upon your face, even the dung of your solemn feasts, and one shall take you away with it. And ye shall know that I have sent this commandment unto you, that my covenant might be with Levi, said Yahweh of hosts. My covenant was with him of life and peace, and I gave them to him for the fear wherewith he feared me. Do y'all remember that story? In the book of Exodus, I think it was the Deuteronomy, I think that was Deuteronomy, when they made the golden calf. That is the story in, I think it's 32. And 32, and the Levites stood up. Moses asked who was on Yahweh's side. The Levites stood up. They were told to grab their sword and go throughout the camp. And they killed about 3,000 people, showing you how you are on Yahweh's side. And not only is you on Yahweh's side, but you are to teach Israel the right way. And what you said and did was to get evil out of the city. So it tells us here, again in the 5th verse, my covenant was with him of life and peace, and I gave them to him for the fear wherewith he feared me, and was afraid before my name. the law of truth was in his mouth. Why is the law of truth in his mouth if he ain't the teacher of the law? It says the law of truth was in his mouth, and iniquity was not found in his lips. He walked with me in peace and equity, and did turn many away from iniquity. How you want to turn many away from iniquity if you ain't the one allowed to teach? And then it tells us, for all the hard-headed people, for the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they, the people, should seek the law at his mouth. Now, who's going to stand up against their brother and tell us that we don't need a priest to teach the law? The priest is being punished here because they wasn't keeping it right, because they wasn't teaching it right. Again, it says in the 7th verse, for the priest's lips should keep knowledge, and they are the people of Israel, should seek the law at his mouth, for he is the messenger of Yahweh and hosts. And did they not tell Aaron and Moses, you go hear the message and bring it back to us, and we will hear it and do it? He's called that the messenger of Yahweh of hosts. But ye are departed out of the way. You have caused many to stumble at the law. How could they if they wasn't the teachers? They was the teachers, Samuel, and they taught wrong. They taught according to their heart. They taught according to their own imagination, which was wrong. Ye have corrupted the covenant of Levi. You did not make a distinction between the holy and the profane, nor are you doing it today, Israel. Therefore have I also made you contemptible and base before all the people, according as ye have not kept my way, but have been partial in the law. Now, who's going to teach Israel that the priest was not the teachers of the law? It also tells us, Israel, if we take a quick look in the book of Psalms, the book of Psalms, Psalms 78, and it reminds us in Psalms 98, even though it might not call out the priests, we know that they were our fathers. They weren't our only fathers, but we know that the priests is included when it talks about our fathers. Thus, it reads in Psalm 78, if we pick up that first verse to the 8th verse, it reads, give ear, O my people, to my law. Incline your ear to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us, and you can rest assured it was also the priests. We will not hide them from their children, showing to the generation to come the praises of Yahweh and his strength and his wonderful works that he have done. For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children, that the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who shall arise and declare them to their children, that they might set their hope in Elohim and not forget the works of Elohim, but keep his commandments, and might not be as their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that set not their heart aright, and whose spirit was not steadfast with Elohim. And how do you know that? When they teach, you don't need no priest. It also tells us if we take a look at 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel. And let's take a look at the 12th verse. The 12th chapter, should I have said. 1 Samuel 12. And it tells us in 1 Samuel 12, if we pick up at the 23rd verse, let's start at the 22nd verse and read to the 25th verse. It reads, "For Yahweh will not forsake his people for his great name's sake, because it had pleased Yahweh to make you his people. Moreover, as for me, Elohim forbid that I should sin against Yahweh and ceasing to pray for you. But I will teach you," note, "but I will teach you the good and the right way." And who was Samuel? If anybody know that Samuel was a priest, let us know at the end of the presentation. It says, "And teach you the good and the right way. Only fear Yahweh and serve him in truth with all your heart. For consider how great things he have done for you. But if ye shall still do wickedly, ye shall be consumed, both ye and your king." So not only was the king a teacher, but the priest was always a teacher. And the priest even spoke against the king. It also tells us, Israel, if we turn back to 2 Chronicles, let's hit one more place in 2 Chronicles that prove without a shadow of a doubt that you need a priest. It tells us in 2 Chronicles, the 15th chapter, and I'll just let's go to 2 Chronicles, the 15th chapter, and let's read. And it tells us, if we pick up at we'll start at the first verse, because I think you need to know who Azariah, the son of Oded, is. But it says, "The spirit of Elohim came upon Azariah, the son of Oded, and he went out to meet Asa, and said unto him, hear ye me, Asa, and all Yehuda and Benjamin. Yahweh is with you, while ye be with him. And if you seek him, he will be found of you. But if you forsake him, he will forsake you." And note the 3rd verse. This is not my words. This is testimony. And the testimony tells us, "Now for a long season, Israel had been without the true Elohim and without a what? A teaching priest." Your brother is not just making up presentations. Every presentation denotes our holy scriptures, Israel. The question of our presentation is, where's the teaching priest? Well, we just read in 2 Chronicles, the 15th chapter, the 3rd verse, "Now for a long season, Israel had been without the true Elohim and without a teaching priest and without law." I don't think the brothers and sisters that get on my post, I don't even think they read the book. Because I done had people tell me, what do we need a priest for? What do we need a teaching priest? And it allows us to know that our fathers needed it, and when they didn't have it, it was hell among them. But when the people returned back to Yahweh, it was always a teaching priest to teach you to return back to him, to show you, to make the distinction between your holy life and your defiled living. Thus it reads one more time in the 3rd verse of the 15th chapter of 2 Chronicles, "Now for a long season," and I could just imagine what this season was. I bet it ain't as long as what we ain't been enduring. So if they was recipients of hell for that little season, just think of what we are recipients of. Straight confusion. Now, for a long season, Israel had been without the true Elohim because they were serving idols in the fraction of one's imaginations, and without a teaching priest. You don't need no priest to teach you the fraction of your own imagination. You're going to lean on your own mess. You're going to be right in your own eyes. So you didn't need a teaching priest, and they didn't have now. And without the teaching priest, look what else they are without. It says, and without law. This ain't your brother saying this. This is your brother reading it, though, and confirming it and declaring it. It says, but when they, in their trouble, did turn unto Yahweh Elohim of Israel, and sought him, he was found of them. And in those times there was no peace to him that went out, nor to him that come in. Sound like today. But great vexations was upon all the inhabitants of the countries. The nation was destroyed of nations, the city of cities, the city of cities. For Elohim did vex them with all adversity. Be ye strong, therefore, and let not your hand be weak, for your work shall be rewarded. And when Asa heard these words and the prophecy of Oded the prophet, he took courage and put away the abominable idols out of all the land of Yehudah and Benjamin, and out of the cities which he had taken from Mount Ephraim, and renewed the altar of Yahweh that was before the porch of Yahweh. And he gathered all Yehudah and Benjamin and the strangers with them, out of Ephraim and Manasseh, and out of Simeon, for they fell to him out of Israel in the bondage, when they saw that Yahweh is Elohim, or when they saw that Yahweh, his Elohim, was with him. So they gathered themselves together at Jerusalem in the 3rd month, in the 15th year of the reign of Asa, and they offered it to Yahweh the same time of the spoil which they had brought, 700 oxen, 7,000 sheep. And they entered into a covenant to seek Yahweh Elohim of their fathers with all their heart and with all their soul, that whosoever would not seek Yahweh Elohim of Israel should be put to death. And who is these orders by? I bet it's by the priest. It's definitely by the king, but it's definitely by the priest according to the law in Deuteronomy the 17th chapter. It says, whether small or great, whether man or woman, and they swear it into Yahweh with a loud voice, and with shouting, and with trumpets, and with cornets, and all Yehudah rejoiced at the oath, for they had sworn with all their heart, and sought him with their whole desire, and he was found of them. And Yahweh gave them rest round about, and also concerning Micaiah, the mother of Asa, the king, he removed her from being queen because she had made an idol in a grove, and Asa cut down her idol and stumped it and burnt it at the brook Kidron. But the high places were not taken away out of Israel. Nevertheless, the heart of Asa was perfect all his days, and he brought into the house of Elohim the things that his father did dedicate, and that he himself had dedicated, silver and gold and vessels. And there was no more war into the 35th year of the reign of Asa. Again, they had to be taught. It also tells us in Jeremiah, the 15th chapter. Jeremiah, the 15th chapter. A couple more and we'll be done. Jeremiah, the 15th chapter. And it tells us in Jeremiah, the 15th chapter, if we pick up at the 15th verse, and it reads, Yahweh, thou knowest, remember me and visit me, and revenge me of my prosecutors. Take me not away in thy long suffering, Know that for thy sake I have suffered rebuke. Because they don't believe me. They believe we don't need a priest. Thy words were found, and I did eat them, and I am showing them. And thy words was unto me the joy and rejoicing of my heart. For I am called by thy name, Yahweh Elohim of hosts. I sat not in the assembly of the mockers, nor rejoiced. I sat alone because thy hand, for thy has filled me with indignation. So even though our brothers and sisters keep saying Shabbat Shalom, that is not what I see. Even though our brothers and sisters keep saying our dwellings is wherever we at, that is not what I see. Even though our brothers and sisters say we are under the law wherever we at and we don't need a priest, that is not what I see. Thus, the Almighty have many people mocking at what we bring forth. Why is my pain perpetual and my wound incurable, which refuse to be healed? Will thou be altogether to me as a liar and as water that faileth? Therefore thus said Yahweh, if thou return, then will I bring thee again, and thou shalt stand before me. And if thou take forth the precious from the veil, which we are trying to do each and every day, thou shalt be as my mouth. Let them return into thee, but return not thou into them. And I will make thee into this people a fenced brazen wall, and they shall fight against thee, and they fighting, but they shall not prevail, and they have not against thee. For I am with thee to show thee and to deliver thee, said Yahweh. And I will deliver thee out of the hand of the wicked, and I will redeem thee out of the hand of the terrible. It also tells us, if we pick up at Deuteronomy 12, it tells us in Deuteronomy 12 there's a time for everything under the sun. And we've seen that these things were supposed to be done in the land. Thus, it tells us in the 12th chapter of Deuteronomy, if we pick up at the 10th verse, I'll start at the 9th. I'll start at the 8th verse. It says in Deuteronomy 12 and 8, and we'll read to the 12th verse. It says in Deuteronomy 12 and 8, ye shall not do after all the things that we do here this day. Every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes. For ye are not as yet come to the rest and to the inheritance which Yahweh your Elohim give you. That's talking about all your dwellings. And it's talking about you resting in all your dwellings, which is known as your inheritance. The 10th verse reads, but when ye go over Jordan and dwell in the land, your dwellings, which Yahweh your Elohim gives you to inherit, and when he brings you rest from all your enemies round about, so that ye dwell in your dwellings in safety, then there shall be a place where Yahweh your Elohim shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. Tighter shall ye bring all that I command you, your burnt offering, your sacrifices, your tithes, the heave offerings of your hand, and all your choice vows which ye vowed unto Yahweh. And ye shall rejoice before Yahweh your Elohim, ye and your sons, and your daughters, and your manservant, and your maidservant, and the Levite that is within your gates, for as much as he have no part nor inheritance with you. No, the Levites and the priests ain't going nowhere because they are the teachers, and the Levites was the gift to the priests to help them take care of the houses and the things that was offered. But the priests taught Israel. The law came out of the priest's lips. It also tells us retrospect, after the children of Israel came out of Babylon, it tells us, if we turn our scriptures to Ezra, the 7th chapter, we can continue to show, no matter what dispensation our fathers found themselves in, the Almighty Word did not change. Thus, we showing testimony of Israel coming out of Babylon. And look at the words. It tells us in Ezra, the 7th chapter, and I would like to pick up at the 23rd verse. And it tells us in the 23rd verse of Ezra, the 7th chapter, whatsoever is commanded by Elohim of heaven, let it be diligently done for the house of Elohim of heaven. For why should there be wrath against the realm of the king and his son? Also we certify you that touching any of the, look at the first people that is mentioned. And why are these people mentioned? Based on our presentation, they mentioned because they are the teachers. Well, let's read. It says, also we certify you that touching any of the priests and the Levites, singers, porters, Nethiums, ministers of this house of Elohim, it shall not be lawful to impose toll, tribute, or custom upon them. And thy Ezra, after the wisdom of thy Elohim that is in thy hand, set magistrates and judges which may judge all the people that are beyond the river. Beyond the river was your land, Israel. As such as know the law. Please take note. As such as know the laws of thy Elohim, and teach ye them that know them not. Now, who in the heck was Ezra? If you look at the 7th chapter of Ezra, you will find in the 10th verse, for Ezra had prepared his heart to seek the law of Yahweh, and to do it, and to teach in Israel statutes and judgments. Your brother asks you, who in the heck is Ezra? The 12th verse reads of the 7th chapter, Artaxerxes, king of kings, and to Ezra the priest, a scribe of the law of Elohim of heaven, perfect peace, and at such a time. So this man was the priest. And with him being the priest, the king of this reign knew that he was the priest, and he knew that he had powers to do what? It reads again in the 25th verse of Ezra 7. The 25th verse of Ezra 7, it reads again, and thy Ezra, after the wisdom of thy Elohim, that is in thy hand, set magistrates and judges, which may judge all the people that are beyond the river, all such as know the laws of thy Elohim, and you teach ye them that know them not. And whosoever will not do the law of thy Elohim, that teach we don't need no priest, it says, and the law of the king, let judgment be executed speedily upon him, whether it be into death, or to banishment, or to confiscation of goods, or to imprisonment. And we already read in and Deuteronomy, the 17th chapter, who you were supposed to bring the matter of controversy, especially if it had anything to do with some strokes. And this strokes here talking about death. So you definitely had to come to the priests. It tells us, Israel, blessed be Yahweh Elohim of our fathers, which have put such a thing as this in the king's heart to beautify the house of Yahweh, which is in Jerusalem. It also tells us in the book of Malachi, the 4th chapter. The book of Malachi, the 4th chapter. And it tells us in the book of Malachi, the 4th chapter, before I go to the book of Malachi, the 4th chapter, let's take note. Now, we'll just go ahead with the 4th chapter, the 4th verse is what I want to state right now. And what it tells us in the 4th chapter, the 4th verse is, remember ye the law of Moses, my servant. And we know that the law of Moses, his servant, the words came out of the mouth of Aaron, his brother, which was none other than the priest. So it tells us, remember ye the law of Moses, my servant, which I commanded unto him in Horeb for all Israel, with the statutes and justice. You can never acknowledge the covenant of the law without acknowledging the judgments. It also tells us, if we take a look in the book of Jeremiah 32, Jeremiah 32, and it tells us in Jeremiah 32, at the 23rd verse, it tells us, and they came in and possessed it, but they obeyed not thy voice, neither walked in thy law. They have done nothing of all that thou commandest them to do. Therefore, thou hast caused all this evil to come upon them. So it allowed us to know that they did not do nothing of all that Yahweh commanded them to do. And these things that was commanded came by way of the priests, came by way of the prophets, and they did not. So the Almighty brought this terrible curse upon them to where they were sent into Babylon. And then it tells us in the 36th verse of the same chapter, well, I need to go to the 33rd verse first. After we read in the 23rd verse, they did not do nothing of all that Yahweh commanded. The 33rd verse says, or the 32nd verse said, because of all the evil of the children of Israel and of the children of Judah, which they had done to provoke me to anger, they, their kings, their princes, their priests, and their prophets, and the men of Yehuda, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And they have turned into me the back, and not the face, though I taught them, rising up early and teaching them. Yet they have not hearkened to receive instruction, even the priests. That's why the Almighty said what he did to the priests in the book of Malachi. But they set their abomination in the house which is called by my name to defile it. And they built the high places of Baal, which are in the valley of the sons of Haman, to cause their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire to Melech, which I commanded them not, neither came it into my mind that they should do this abomination to cause Yehudah to sin. But as I love to teach, all is not lost. The Almighty is full of mercy and long-suffering, and by way of truth and mercy, iniquity is purged. Thus it reads in the 36th verse, and now therefore thus said Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, concerning this city, whereof you say it shall be delivered into the hand of the king of Babylon by the sword and by the famine and by the pestilence. Behold, I will gather them out of all countries, whether I have driven them in my anger and in my fury and in great wrath, and I will bring them again into this place, and I will cause them to dwell safely. And they shall be my people, and I will be their Elohim. I will give them one heart and one way, that they may fear me forever, for the good of them and for their children after them. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them, that I will not turn away from them to do them good, but I will put my fear in their hearts, that they shall not depart from me. Yea, I will rejoice over them to do them good, and I will plant them in this land assuredly with my whole heart and with my whole soul. For thus said Yahweh, like as I have brought all this great evil upon this people, so will I bring upon them all the good that I have promised them. It also tells us something that just hit me in my mind, is found in Isaiah. Let me get there first, and then I can tell you where to go. Isaiah 66. And Isaiah 66 tells us, as we have known, all is not lost, even though we have gave a presentation of doom dealing with no teaching priests among us, but the Almighty lets us know. If we take a look at the second verse, it says, for all those things, Isaiah 66:2, for all those things have my hand made, and all those things have been, said Yahweh. But to this man will I look, even to him that is poor and of a contrite spirit, and trembles at my word. And we tremble at his word. That's why we are declaring that a priest is needed. And then it tells us in the 5th verse, it says, hear the word of Yahweh, ye that tremble at his word. Your brethren that hate you, that say, no, you don't need no priest, just pick up the book and do it. You hard-headed. It says, your brethren that hate you, that cast you out for my name's sake, said, let Yahweh be glorified. But he shall appear to your joy, because you are confirming every word, and they shall be ashamed. But look what else happens in this same chapter. 66, it tells us in the 21st verse, and I will also take of them for what? Priests and for Levites, said Yahweh, for as the new heaven and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, said Yahweh, so shall your seed and your name remain. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon into another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come and worship before me, said Yahweh, because now Israel is set up as a priest, as a house or a nation of priests, not just to teach Israel, but the world, or the flesh that is left upon this earth. And I would like to end this on this note, which is found in Ezekiel, the 34th chapter. Ezekiel, the 34th chapter. We'll close the presentation on this note. And it tells us in Ezekiel, the 34th chapter. The scripture talks about, let's go to Ezekiel 34, but it talks about in Isaiah 63. We all going to Ezekiel 34. I just want to bring this up. In Isaiah 63, there's a question in Isaiah 63. Let me find it. It talks about I thought it said something about the shepherd. Yes, it does. Isaiah 63 and 11. In Isaiah 63 and 11, it says, "Then he remembered the days of old, Moses and his people, saying, where is he that brought them up out of the sea with the shepherd of his flock? Where is he that put his Holy Spirit within him?" And Moses and Aaron had a Holy Spirit put on them. This Spirit was so holy, it allowed them to deliver Israel out of bondage. Yahweh used this man. Yahweh doing all the delivering, but Yahweh used these people. It speaks about when Moses and Aaron and Samuel called on Yahweh, Yahweh heard his name. These people had a certain spirit on them. And that's why it reads like that. In the 11th verse, it says, "Then he remembered the days of old, Moses and his people, saying, where is he that brought them up out of the sea with the shepherd of his flock? Where is he that put his Holy Spirit within him?" We needed the priest. If we were under the covenant of the law today, we need the priest. But unfortunately, we're not. And not only are we scattered, but the priest is scattered. Don't forget how we started it off. Deuteronomy 32:26. The remembrance of thee have ceased. Not only you don't know where Levi at, you don't know where nobody else at. We just surname ourselves. We are vouched to be Yahweh's servant. You ain't got no record of genealogy. You can't prove nothing. Because Yahweh said he will make your remembrance cease. Well, all is not lost. The Almighty is gracious, full of compassion, and full of mercy. Thus it reads in Ezekiel 34 in closing. "And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy and saying to them, thus said the Master Elohim, and to the shepherds, woe or damned be to the shepherds of Israel that do feed themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flock?" And that's what Moses and them did. "With the word, ye eat the fat, ye clothe you with the wool, you kill them that are fed, but ye feed not us, the flock. You stealing their money by way of tithes and offerings. The disease have you not strengthened, neither have you healed that which was sick, neither have ye bound up that which was broken, neither have you brought again that which was driven away, neither have you sought that which was lost, but with force and with cruelty have you ruled us. And they are scattered, or they were scattered. Many opinions, many rumors, everybody writing their own eyes, because there is no shepherd. And they became meat to all the beasts of the field when they were scattered. My sheep wandered through all the mountains and upon every high hill. Yea, my flock was scattered upon all the face of the earth, and none did search or seek after them. Therefore, ye shepherds, hear the word of Yahweh. And the shepherds of this day was the rulers. It says, as I live, said the Master Elohim, surely because my flock became a prey, and my flock became meat to every beast of the field, because there was no shepherd, neither did my shepherds search for my flock, but the shepherds fed themselves as they do each and every day, and fed not my flock. Therefore, O ye shepherds, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus said the Master Elohim, behold, I am against the shepherds, and I will require my flock at their hand, and cause them to cease from feeding my flock. Neither shall the shepherd feed themselves anymore, for I will deliver my flock from their mouth, that they may be meat for them. For thus said Yahweh Elohim, behold, I, even I, will both search my sheep and seek them out. As a shepherd seeks out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep. And I will deliver them out of all places where they have been scattered in the cloudy and dark day. And it is truly cloudy and dark this day. That's why we find our butts scattered. And I will bring them out from the people and gather them from the countries and bring them to their own land and feed them upon the mountains of Israel by the rivers and in all the inhabited places of the country. And I will feed them in a good pasture, and upon the high mountains of Israel shall their fold be. There shall they lie in a good fold, and in a fat pasture shall they feed upon the mountains of Israel. I will feed my flock, and I will cause them to lie down, said Master Elohim. I will seek that which was lost and bring again that which was driven away. We ain't going to have to worry about all these opinions, because the Almighty got us. And I will bind up that which was broken and strengthen that which was sick. But I will destroy the fat and the strong. I will feed them with judgment. And as for you, O my flock, thus said the Master Elohim, behold, I judge between cattle and cattle, between the rams and the he-goats, seeing it a small thing unto you to have eaten up the good pasture, but ye must tread down with your feet the residue of your pasture, and to have drunk of the deep waters, but ye must foul the residue with your feet. And as for my flock, they eat that which ye have trodden with your feet, and they drink that which ye have fouled with your feet. Therefore thus said the Master Elohim unto them, behold, I, even I, will judge between the fat cattle and between the lean cattle, because you have thrust with side and with shoulder, and pushed all the diseases with your horns, till ye have scattered them abroad. Therefore will I save my flock, and they shall no more be a prey. And I will judge between cattle and cattle, and I will set up one shepherd over them, and he shall feed them, even my servant David. He shall feed them, and he shall be their shepherd. And I, Yahweh, will be their Elohim, and my servant David a prince among them. I, Yahweh, have spoken. And I will make with them a covenant of peace, and I will cause the evil beast to cease out of the land, and they shall dwell safely in the wilderness and sleep in the woods. And I will make them in the place around about my hill a blessing, and I will cause the showers to come down in his season. There shall be showers of blessing, and the tree of the field shall yield her fruit, and the earth shall yield her increase, and they shall be safe in their land, in their land, and shall know that I am Yahweh when I have broken the bands of their yoke. Your bands have not been broken yet, and deliver them out of the hand of those that serve themselves of them. And they shall no more be a prey to the heathen, neither shall the beasts of the land devour them, but they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid. And I will raise up for them a plant of renown, and they shall no more be consumed with hunger in the land, neither bear the shame of the heathen anymore. Thus shall they know that I, Yahweh, their Elohim, am with them, and that they, even the house of Israel, are my people, said Yahweh Elohim. And ye, my flock, the flock of my pastor, are men, and I am your Elohim, said Yahweh Elohim. I will close on that note by saying hallelujah, and open up for any comments or questions dealing with today's presentation. Where's the teaching priest? Are there any comments or questions? No comments or questions? We all understand. Where's the teaching priest?
Checkmate.
I couldn't hear you. Oh, checkmate?
Checkmate.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
Well, I mean, and that's great. That's a great comment. That means you truly comprehend the presentation. But we have so many brothers and sisters just on the question alone where they was giving us different opinions and things like that, that was basically telling us we don't need a priest. All we got to do is do this. Or we under the priesthood of Melchizedek. I mean, they coming out the woodworks trying to establish that we don't need a priest because they know they can't find the priest. If they teach that we needed the priest, then their teachings would be questioned. So they hurried up and went with the narrative, we don't need a priest. So everybody's saying we don't need a priest. But the Almighty said you need a priest, and the Almighty is the one set up the priest.
Right. Hallelujah.
And we should want every word. See, that's what a lot of people is not understanding. When we take away a couple words, that is showing that we don't believe Yahweh. The witness of Yahweh, you got to witness every word. If he bring you up to witness for him, as it states in Isaiah 43:10, ye are my witnesses. I guarantee he wants you to witness every word, or he ain't putting you up there to witness for him.
Right.
So if he said the priest, then that's what we should confirm. That's what we should acknowledge. We shouldn't be ashamed of it. We should not want to do it. We should want to confirm what he has said. And he said the priest. He said the lips of the priest is my messenger. I'm the one telling him. He's going to tell y'all. If you don't understand it, go to him. I got a spirit on him where he's going to make sure you understand what I said. He is the teacher of the law. And what a lot of people is forgetting, they forgetting who Aaron was. Aaron is the priest. I don't understand how you going to tell me that we don't need a priest when the story begins with a priest, Aaron.
Hallelujah.
And Moses let the people know how Aaron is the spokesman, because Yahweh came to me and I hurried up and said I wasn't eloquent. I can't even speak that good. And the Almighty said, man, if you don't do what I tell you to do, matter of fact, here come your brother. And I know he speak good. So I will need you to tell him, and he going to be your mouth. Now, you going to tell me he ain't the priest?
Hallelujah.
Is there any comments or questions? Or rebuttals? Because there was a lot of rebuttals on social media.
They ain't coming together.
But they don't never come to the lesson. They're talk mess on social media, but they never come to the lesson to reprove their brother. Is there any comments or questions? If there isn't any comments or questions, I take that as comprehension, and I take that as if we have understood the excellent words that has been presented to us today, allowing us to know that there is no priest. And the reason why there is no priest today is because Yahweh have punished our fathers for breaking the covenant of the law. And one of the punishments was that our remembrance should cease. So not only do you not know where the priest is, you don't know where the other brothers are at either. We just avouch and we have subscribed ourselves and surnamed ourselves, but in truth we do not know where the children of Israel is scattered based on the remembrance of them ceasing among men by Yahweh. So that's why we call ourselves what we call ourselves today, because Yahweh have made our remembrance to cease. But it's all done for the vindication. See, Yahweh get the glory at the end of the day. So when our remembrance is brought back to us, who get the glory? It's Yahweh. It ain't going to be no brother or no sister trying to tell us that Levi is in Ethiopia and Yehuda is in America and everybody else is wherever else they say we at. You're not going to get that. You're not going to get the glory because you don't know. How could you when the Almighty made your remembrance cease among man? Ain't no people going around talking about what a wise and understanding people as this, to have Elohim so nigh into them and all that they call upon him for. Why not? Because there is not a people on the earth today that fit that. That's why not. So again, if there isn't any comments or questions, is there any other comments or questions before we close? If not, there's no need to have you on any longer. Let you continue to enjoy your night. And we'll go ahead and end this presentation with Psalms 103. Psalms 103 in closing, allowing us to know that Yahweh still loves us, and he will show forth that love when he saves us out of this great furnace that we find ourselves in this day. It tells us in Psalms 103, bless Yahweh, O my soul, and all that is within me. Bless his holy name. Bless Yahweh, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgive all thy iniquities, who heals all thy diseases, who redeemed thy life from destruction, who crowns thee with loving kindness and tender mercies, who satisfied thy mouth with good things, so that thy youth is renewed like the eagles. Yahweh execute righteousness and judgment for all that are oppressed. He make known his ways unto Moses, as we show today, his acts unto the children of Israel. Yahweh is merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and plenty in mercy. He will not always shy, neither will he keep his anger forever. We will be saved out of this. He have not dealt with us after our sins, nor rewarded us according to our iniquities. For as the heaven is high above the earth, so great is his mercy toward them that fear him. As far as the east is from the west, so far hath he removed our transgressions from us. Like as a father pity his children, so Yahweh pities them that fear him. Fear him, Israel, for he knows our frame. He remembered that we are dust. As for man, his days are as grass, as a flower of the field, so he flourishes. For the wind passed over it, and it is gone, and the place thereof shall know it no more. But the mercy of Yahweh is from everlasting to everlasting upon you that fear him, and his righteousness into the children's children, your babies, based on your fear, to such as keep his covenant, and to those that remember his commandments to do them. Yahweh had prepared his throne in the heavens, and his kingdom rule over all. Bless Yahweh, ye his angels, that excel in strength, that do his commandments, hearkening into the voice of his word. And that had to come by Moses. Bless ye Yahweh, all ye his hosts, ye ministers of his that do his pleasure. Bless Yahweh, all his works, and all places of his dominion. Bless Yahweh, O our soul. Hallelujah, hallelujah, and shalom, Israel.
Hallelujah.
Told the brother, Shalom, Israel.
Hallelujah.
Shalom, family.
Hallelujah. Shalom.